Hello, everyone. Welcome back to How To with Melissa's Magical Creations. I am Kathleen, and I wanted to talk to you today about Yoni steaming. Um, Yoni steaming is a natural, holistic way of cleaning out your vagina. No other way to put it. Um, it's less invasive than if you were to purchase a douche from the store. Um, there are specific ways you have to do it so that you don't burn yourself, of course. And then also that you're comfortable. So and that you take full it takes full effect. I'm going to go over the ingredients first of what you should use, um, and then I will give you a little description on how to do it. Now, the base for just generalized health and what you will use um, to add to if you need more specific treatment for different things you want help with. Um, Now, I normally grow my herbs, but because I am experiencing winter, I'm unable to do that. And the herbs that I have that are live are for cooking during this time of year. So I purchase my herbs, if it's just in small quantities, from a little place where I stay called The Hidden Path. Um, it's owned by a wonderful and beautiful couple, April and Linda, and they are just so helpful. Their products are top notch. And they're very informative, so if you have any questions or anything like that, you can always ask them and they'll help you out. Um, oh, and forgive me about my hair. I shampooed my hair last night and I was so tired because I have really long and really thick hair that I just twisted it up and went to bed. I woke up this afternoon, I was that tired, and my hair was still soaking wet, so I just put some of my own hair oil in it, the kind that I make, and put it into French braids. Works for me. Um, but you will need, for the actual ingredients, you will need 1 full cup of ingredients of dried herbs. So you can put them in any kind of ratio that you like. I'll tell you what kind of ratio I use, but I'm going to start with the ingredients first. So calendula, rue, lavender, rosemary, mugwort, roses, and I forgot to grab my wormwood, but you will need wormwood too. Now, some of this stuff you can get right out your cabinet, like rosemary. It's actual rosemary that you cook with. But I got it in there so that everyone would be able to see exactly what it is. But that would be your base. So if you're just doing it for regular upkeep and generalized health, that's what you would use. Those ingredients right there. Now, what you're going to use if you have really heavy, long periods or really painful periods, you will add red raspberry leaf to what I just told you. That helps lessen the intensity, whether it's the pain or the flow itself or the length of the flow. It's helped me a lot. My periods after my last son, um, my periods started lasting normally between 12 and 14 days. Mostly on average it would be 13 days. And it was so heavy, so heavy. Sometimes I'd go an entire 2 to 3 months and the doctors couldn't figure it out. They just didn't know what was wrong. I didn't know what was wrong. I am not someone who eats really unhealthy. Once in a while, don't get me wrong, I'll get a candy bar or a bag of chips, like a small bag of chips, or like a cupcake or something. You know, everybody does. But it's just once in a while for me. Usually I eat fruits and vegetables, rices, let's see, my rice of choice is wild rice, which is technically not even a rice, but things like that. Um, I I just I didn't know what was going on. The doctors either. So I tried this with the red raspberry leaf, and it did wonders. I haven't cut back a lot to where I'm like 3 days or anything. No, but I am down now to about 8 to 10 days, which a couple days at a time works because eventually it's going to get down to like some of the friends that I have 3 days or 5 days. And I think I'd be like ecstatic with that. But red raspberry leaf. Now, if you have um, issues with like smell, you just sweat so much, and your discharge has that like a sweaty smell, or you don't eat healthy at all. You are what you eat. Remember that. Um, but you can add to it lemon verbena. Remember, now this was in another one of my videos on breast milk. So is the red raspberry leaf, but and the rue, but lemon verbena. Um, strangely, peppermint and hibiscus. You can add them all, or you can add a combination of to what the base is. Now, also, if you have painful intercourse, the red raspberry leaf, the hibiscus, added to the base will help. And also, like a lot of traumatic events, like if you were, um, if you've ever been abused as a child, as an adult, uh, raped, anything like that, I've heard from others that it can even help heal the trauma because like I said at another video, I can't remember which one, but our bodies have cell memory. And I apologize, somebody's trying to get in contact with me. But with cellular memory, whatever your body has withstood in the past, it never forgets. So that will help ease the trauma of the cellular abuse that your body has gone under. That's what, like I said, I've asked a lot of people who do alternative medicines, holistic practices, things like that. And this is what they've told me. I do know when I use it, if I'm stressed, I have high blood pressure. Well, I'm sorry, words have power. I was diagnosed with high blood pressure, and I feel it. So when I need to really relax, I steam, and I will add, a combination of things for me to relax. So of course the red raspberry leaf is added to it. Any one that I do, I add the red raspberry leaf because I want my periods to come back. But I'll also add sometimes the hibiscus or the lemon verbena, things like that. And it does help, not only for your internal, but you smell it. That relaxes you. So let me tell you how to. So I use an old pot. I am going to be working on making my own stool. And actually, someone I work with, her name is Tia. She's also thinking of a DIY idea. So, for this. So I will let you know how that goes. If she records it in any way, I'll play it for you guys on my channel, or I'll encourage her to set up her own. If she sets up her own, I'll put the link over for you so that you are able to see how she does it for the stool itself. But for me, I use an old metal pot, of course, that I'm never going to use for anything but that. And I put in 8 cups of water. I put it on the stove, and I get the water going so that it'll start to, get warm. While I'm doing that, I'm measuring out my herbs. I need a full cup of dried herbs. So like I said, it's a combination of all the ones that I've told you. And then I put them into the pot of water, and I let it get to a rolling boil. Once it gets to a rolling boil, I turn it down just a little bit, so it would be probably about medium low, and I let it simmer on a stove for about, in all honesty, 15 minutes, because I want that brew to just go. Then I turn it off, and I let it sit for about 5. Now, while it's sitting, and that's just so it can cool to where it doesn't steam so badly and burn my insides, because I kind of like the way I am. But I go and I clean my toilet. Now, my bathroom's clean, but because I'm going to put my pot inside my toilet bowl itself, I want it to be spotless. I don't want any problems. I'm also going to get a blanket so that I can have it while I'm steaming. So I want to make sure that it is nice and clean. So I thoroughly clean my toilet inside and out. And then by that time, that 5 minutes of cool down, I take the pot, I lift the lid, both lids, so the cover and then the lid, and I place the pot right inside the toilet bowl. Then I put the lid down so I can sit on it. I strip down from the waist down, and I grab a blanket, and I sit on the toilet, and I wrap myself up so that the blanket is actually cascading over my legs, and it's on the floor so that it entraps all of the steam. I want it to stay inside the blanket, and I want to get most of the benefit of the steam. I sit there until it gets cool. I have music playing. A lot of the music that I have playing is similar to what you might hear in the background, but that's what I do. I might have a candle burning, depends on how I feel. And let's see, with the music and the candle, no lights, I just sit there. And once it gets cool, usually within about 20-25 minutes, depending on how hot you can take the steam, then I blow out my candle, because it's just a candle, just for light, that's it. So usually I snuff out my candles, but for that I blow it out, and then I turn a light on. I grab my blanket, fold it up, set it to the side, take the herbs and the water, and I pour it down the toilet, and I flush the toilet. Then I normally, because when I do this, it's just me, no one else is usually in the house, so I can wait a few minutes, or like even depending on what time of day it is or what day it is, I can just have the stuff sitting there, and then I go and I lay down. Because when you do this, especially the first couple times, if you're not used to it, you can be a little, I'm not going to say lightheaded, but you can be a little different. Your senses are a little different because that steam has entered your body vaginally, and with the herbs that you use, different herbs, of course, do different things. But that combination actually makes you feel a little on a sleepy side. Not tired, but like you want to just lay down and rest for a few minutes. So I usually suggest that. You can, now I've heard of some people drinking tea while they're doing it, an herbal tea. I haven't tried that yet. Only because me and bringing an open cup into the bathroom, I don't care how clean it is, I just have this thing. I don't know. But you can do that. Or you can have a thermos waiting for you in your bedroom with tea, and you could drink it while you're laying down, and then go about your day. Of course, wash out that pot, put it up for your next steam. The blanket, I usually, which is crazy, but I usually throw it in dirty clothes so that it can be washed. And, once I wash it, then I just fold it up and I put it up for my next steam. It's sitting there with my pot. But that's it. Honestly, that's all you have to do. And it really does work. It really does. A lot of times when we do things naturally, you've heard me say our ancestors couldn't have been wrong. They couldn't have been wrong. They were doing things that I am trying to, that I've already incorporated, some things I'm trying to incorporate into my life. And what I'm trying to, teach you or talk to you about way before westernized medicine, before progress, should I say. When you do the things that your ancestors have done, it makes you seem a little closer to your ancestors. You kind of think, oh, wow, they were hardworking. They did things like this. Or when you're baking or cooking something that was passed down from your great-grandmother to your grandmother to your mother to you, or, your great-grandmother to your mother, your great-grandmother to your grandmother to your father to you, what have you, whichever way, you feel closer to your ancestors. You're passing on the tradition of something. And these traditions are actually good and healthy traditions because it keeps that bond. It keeps that way of how things were and how you can either recreate them to how they are now or how you can keep them going for what you're doing. I'm really big on passing things down. Unfortunately, I have only boys, so I will teach them, and I've been teaching them, or trying to anyway, certain things so that they can keep the traditions alive. There's strength in keeping certain traditions. There is longevity. There is history, your family history. So, doing this, and as far as I know, at least with women of color, people of color, Yoni steaming has been going on for thousands of years. I'm not really sure about the Anglo or the Europeans, what they did past a certain point. My grandfather was a person of, he was of European descent. He was, I am a person of European descent. My grandfather was European. So, Anglo, rather. I know what he would tell me, but being a man, especially at that time, as he passed away when I was 12, and as you see, I'm way past 12, he didn't tell me a lot of what women's health was. He told me how, they cooked, how they worked, did things like that. But women's health, no, not so much. But, this is just something to help you. Hopefully, you might incorporate this, and hopefully it works for you. Like I said, if my coworker builds a stool, then if she records it, I will either play it for you guys on my channel, or I will link it, have a link for her channel. That way you guys can watch that. Or if I can figure out a way to do one, then I'll of course certainly do one. That'll probably be in the summer. But yeah, this is about it. I am going to let you guys go. I am going to say this. My next video is going to be about smudging. A lot of people say, oh my goodness, smudging. No, that's demonic. That's of the devil. It's not. First of all, in the Bible, if you read the Bible, they had incense. You were greeted with incense. And the incense, as it says in it, wafted to the nostrils of the Lord. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing, of course. But it's in every world tradition, every ethnicity. I call it smudging because I am of Native American descent. So that's what that's the terminology I was taught to use. But it is a way of, I guess, if you're Christian, bringing in the spirit. If you are Native American, clearing out the negative and bringing in the new, the positive. If you are of African diaspora descent, it's the same as if the Native American, or any other peoples. Everyone uses incense for different things. My smudging is to clear out the negative and keep the positive. To, bring in positive energies, get rid of the negative energies. You can have incense burning while you're steaming too. Sometimes I will do that. But you can do things like that. And I will go over some ways and some combinations of certain things. I'll tell you what I use, my go-to all the time. And no, it's not just sage. Sage is nice and all, but for me, I have to mix sage with something else because the smell of sage by itself, even though science has proven that when you smudge with sage, it is an antiseptic and a disinfectant naturally, the smoke itself from the burning sage. But me, I have to add other things to it. Oh, and that's something else you can add to a steaming. You can add a leaf or two of sage. I wouldn't suggest the kind that you cook with when it's time for Thanksgiving because it's too powdery. But a leaf or two, because the powder itself would overpower the other herbs. But we'll go over the smudging, my next video, which will be in a couple days. Sometimes I really hate kids, because I was a kid that made that noise. And dogs, because my dogs, I had to redo this video because they just came in here after me. And they were drinking water and trying to play with my feet. And yeah, so I have a kid in the kitchen trying to get dinner and he dropped something. I don't know. But I want to thank you all for watching. I know it's kind of long, about 25 minutes, but it's okay. I also want to thank you so much for, if you can hear the music, it's my Pandora station IBA. They are Afro-Cuban. They're a set of twins, and their music is beautiful. But of course, with Pandora, anything that goes along with that sound or genre are other things playing. And this is my favorite channel on Pandora. But you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, morning, whatever it is that you're watching this at this time. And be healthy, be happy, stay positive, and be you.